Welcome back to Faith and Purpose Radio Show. I am Elder Lakia Barnett, and it's so glad to be back before you guys one more time this Saturday. Listen to me. I'm excited, and I hope you guys are excited because it's Saturday. But anyway, so did you like that nice sound, calm song, Miracles, by gospel sensation herself, Miss Evelyn Drayton, and you guys, she is phenomenal. So that is just a piece of her song. So listen, if you want to find out more about her, listen, please keep tuning into the show. Each week, you're going to hear something dropping from her. Again, her name is Evelyn Drayton. She is gospel sensation and author, you guys, and entrepreneur. So listen, you guys keep tuning in week after week, and we're going to keep dropping gems about this awesome artist and author and entrepreneur. So keep tuning in for that. So we have two beautiful guests here, both authors and many more things. I love saying women that wears a lot of hats because they do. So listen, I want you guys to get real comfy and comfortable, and we're going to go ahead and bring up our first guest of the evening, and her name is Shatima Reedy, and she's an author, entrepreneur, and many more things. So we're about to find out what she's been doing, what she's up to, and how did she get to where she is today, okay? So come on in, Miss Shatima, are you on the line?
I am here, Lakia, and thank you so much for having me on the show, and thank you all for this opportunity for today. I am honored to be here and to share with you, the many hats that I do wear every day. So let's get into it.
All righty. So listen, why don't you go ahead and briefly introduce yourself to the audience, and then we're going to jump into some questions.
Okay, great. So, again, for those that heard Lakia, my name is Shatima Reedy. I am a native of Brooklyn, New York, primarily Brownsville, Brooklyn. Never ran, never will. That's the neighborhood in Brooklyn. But I currently stay in East New York, which is another neighborhood in Brooklyn. Born and raised. I did most of my schooling here. I am a minister of the gospel at my local assembly, my church. I also am a worker for the United States Postal Service. I have a newly developed business entitled HYSC, which is an acronym that stands for Here's Your Second Chance. And that business is a career development business geared toward career development through job seminars, job fairs, interviewing skills, and resume writing. Also, I had the wonderful opportunity of becoming an author of the anthology entitled Still I Fly, which is about 24 lessons on how to pivot and evolve during an unexpected crisis. And last but not least, I am a mom to a busy 7-year-old, almost 8-year-old daughter who helps me promote awareness and advocacy for autism. So those are my many hats that I wear every day. And I'm just truly thankful to be here and to share with you my story.
Thank you so much for that lovely introduction. I'm telling you, a woman of many hats. I'm telling you now, I love it. Y'all, this is like the best part of interviewing people because you get to find out all the great things that they are doing. So I just love it. So let's dive in real quick. So before all of this came about, can you remember one of the hardest periods that you had in your life where you kind of felt like you didn't see none of this, okay? Like, it was just blurry. It didn't look like it should have looked. You were on the brink of kind of like just giving up. Was there ever a period in your life that you can remember that was like that before any of this kind of evolved into what it is today?
Sure. There were two periods of my life where I just felt like, okay, like, how am I going to get out of this? So One period was when I was in college. At the time, I did go to a Christian university at the time, and even though my major wasn't necessarily, biblical studies or what have you, I was a law and government major, but I also wanted to continue my Christian experience, which is why I decided to go to a Christian university for college. But while I was there, I wasn't living that lifestyle. I wasn't living a Christian lifestyle. And so day to day, I, always kept battling with, like, what am I supposed to be doing with my life? I'm in college. I know I'm supposed to have the college experience, as people say, and we kind of already know what that is. But there was a point in my life where I was in college where I felt like I was in this dark tunnel because there were just so many things going on around me. I wasn't living, the way that I should have at the time. I didn't understand that God was truly a keeper and he would help me to be kept. Okay, I didn't understand all of that. I didn't understand what it really, really, really meant on how to really live saved at the time. And so I was, just kind of like in this dark cloud. Like, I always just saw this vision of a dark, dark, dark tunnel. And even though there was a light at the end of the tunnel, it was like I could not get to it. And I knew that then and there I needed to change some things in my life around. And kind of once I made the step to finally realize, like, hey, like, the Lord is calling you. And not necessarily like ministry per se, but, the Lord wants you to do his will, and, he wants you to get out of the things that, you're in. And kind of once I started making that step, I saw that the light at the end of the tunnel started getting closer to where I could see a way out. And then it wasn't until basically, I want to say maybe a year after, I didn't want to leave where I was at. After I was in college, I took like a year off. I stayed in that particular state in Virginia. And I didn't want to leave. I didn't want to come home because I'm like, I'm supposed to make it on my own. I want to make it, and just do things on my own. But the Lord had made it so that way I can come home. And then it was like my ministry journey just started there. And that was one of the hardest times in my life. That's one of them. The other was when I found out that my daughter was diagnosed with autism. And developmental disabilities, mental illness, mental health awareness is sometimes a stigma, especially within the African American community. My daughter is a miracle child from the gate. I will tell anyone the way that she got here was definitely a miracle because it was about 2 years before I had her that the doctors were saying that there was a possibility that I may not have children. So, and the lie detector said that was a lie, so she's here now. But getting her diagnosis of autism really just changed a lot of things for me and kind of how to deal with a child that has special needs. So that was one of the darkest moments. But I was strong enough in my faith to know, look, if God could have gotten me out of the situation that I was in during college, he sure will guide me during this time of my life. So that was the other, part of my life that was really difficult.
Okay, so it sounds like my favorite, where there's a lot of active obedience that happens, even in this time, and I like to call it the wilderness season. It's all about your obedience and really kind of, humbling yourself to really understand the place that you're in. A lot of people like to rush process. They like everything to be quick. But what it sounds like to me is that you just understood the place that you were in and you learned the lessons that you needed to learn and you thrust things forward. And through that, your purpose was birthed, right? So, wow. So what does purpose really mean to you? When you hear the word purpose, because this is faith and purpose, so what does purpose mean to you as you kind of progress forward? What did that word start to look like to you? Because a lot of people be like, what is purpose? Or how do I know I'm walking in my purpose? I get that a lot. I don't know if you get that question a lot as you're, dealing with just random people or people in your journey. I always hear the question, how do you know you're in your purpose?
Okay. So purpose for me is basically fulfilling the assignment. And within fulfilling the assignment, there are intricate parts that connect together in order for you to fulfill that assignment. So what I mean by that is, and again, I did not see myself being in ministry at all. I totally thought, okay, I'll be Supreme Court Justice one day, shout out Ketanji Brown Jackson, I'll be Supreme Court Justice one day. And that was kind of the way that I was going, but God had other plans. And when I look back on just everything that has happened, my life in general, from the time that I was in college to now, I saw that there were many birthing moments on how I became a part of ministry, or I was a part of a new ministry, that just started to be birthed out, or I was a part of maybe not a club per se, but an auxiliary, that was new, that started to birth out, and I was, pretty much like the chair of it, or the president or something of it. And I tie all of those experiences together to see that, God, you really trying to tell me, like, there's an assignment that I have to fulfill. And so at the time, I never forget, I remember before I came home back to New York, when I left Virginia, there was this lady, I went to a church service, and we were sitting in the service, and I was not used to, I grew up Baptist, so I was not used to some of the things of the Spirit, if you will. I was not used to prophecy. I wasn't used to, speaking in tongues in the Spirit of God. I wasn't used to all of that because, that was kind of frowned upon, between different denominations. And so I went to a service, and the lady had, pointed me out, and I was like, what's she pointing at me, And so she was like, oh, no, you call minister the gospel. Like, you call minister the gospel. You think that you being here was in vain, and it wasn't, all the things that you went through is not in vain, and God is preparing you, and such and such. And he truly was preparing me for the journey. He really was. And this journey does not happen overnight. So for those of you who, you got a call in your life, you got a purpose in your life, it does not happen overnight. There will be bumps and bruises along the road. You are not going to get it right away. You're not going to get it right the first time that you do stuff. So I want to encourage people to let them know, like, listen, sometimes there is a trial and error season that you have to go through. And don't let anyone make you feel inferior of the season that you're in. And just because you are in this season, that doesn't mean that you're in the wrong season. It just means that you're in the season that God has you in. Just go with God. That's all I have to say. So for me, purpose is really just fulfilling the assignment to where you are helping others in your assignment.
Absolutely. I totally agree. And I love how you use some encouragement in there, because a lot of people, they get discouraged. Sometimes it may take people a little while. I know I did for me. I had to literally go through homelessness for God to kind of like sit me down to like really show me what he wanted to do with me. And sometimes usually that's what it is. And I became isolated from everybody, not to hurt me or to kill me, but he had to, because that was a part of his process of introducing me to my purpose. So I love how you broke that down. So let's move into your book. So explain to me how that process came about.
Sure. So back in 2013, when I decided to do a job seminar at my church. And one of the gentlemen that was there, he was a speaker, and he also has a business called That Suits You, which is a non-for-profit organization. Shout out to Mr. P.K. Kiersey. He is the actual visionary for the book. And over the summertime, actually, when 2020, first started, pandemic happened, working crazy hours at the post office, and for those that go to the post office and say, like, oh, my gosh, like, the people are so grumpy, just, be patient with them, okay? Don't, be mad with them. I'm sorry. But, going through that and working crazy hours and everything like that, I had a major death happen during that time. One of my aunts, that I call my aunt, she wasn't biologically my aunt, but she was an elder of our church, had passed away, and I was very close to her. She was my daughter's godmother. And during that time, I was just, in a space where I was just like, okay, this is a lot for me to deal with. I mean, I've dealt with a lot of other stuff, but this is really a lot. But during that time, he had contacted me and was like, I feel like, you have a lot to say, and I want you to be a part of the book. And at the time, I was like, I don't know how to write no book. I don't know how to write a chapter. Why are you coming to me about this? What story could I tell you about, And so when he started telling me what the book was going to be about and, what we can write about, it didn't necessarily have to be anything with COVID, but if we wanted to share that experience, we could. And so I did. So the book is pretty much about how we pivoted and evolved during unexpected crises, whether it was during COVID or whether it was different battles that we had prior to COVID. And our book is a #1 seller on Amazon. So we're grateful that we have accomplished that. And the book is going, pretty well with all of the amazing authors. There's 24 of us, many from different backgrounds, different lifestyles, and we're just grateful to be a part of the project.
Amen. Absolutely. I love it. So what can people expect when they're hearing this book? When they're hearing this book or, reading this book, what do you want your readers to expect?
I want them to expect, and I want them to understand that you can have the greatest profession. You can be saved and be filled with the Holy Ghost. That does not mean that trials and tribulations won't come. Trials work as patience, and patience work as hope. And so what we have to understand, it rains on the just as well as the unjust. However, we have a blessed hope. We know what the end is going to be. And so when you look at this book, you will see that everyone, whatever their profession is, whether they're teachers, principals, financial advisors, postal workers like me, they have triumphed and overcome some of the greatest obstacles that they've had in life. I know for me, especially with my daughter, who was diagnosed with autism at 2.5, there were a lot of hurdles that we had to go through. A lot of times where there were different therapies and, all of that stuff. A lot of not understanding and not being in the know of really knowing what's going on with her. And so during that process, it's pretty much how we all have overcome all of the obstacles. So the book is definitely an encouragement book. It's definitely a motivational book, very inspirational. From the person that is a top executive to the person that may, work in the supermarket. The book has something for everyone. We talk about our kids. We talk about our jobs. We talk about loss. We talk about pivotal moments, how we had to come off our jobs, and maybe start a business. We talk about all of those different things inside the book. So I encourage everyone to get a copy because it's definitely going to bless your life. There were stories of people that I didn't know, other authors that I already knew outside of this project. I knew them prior, but some of the things that they talked about in the book I did not know. And it was encouraging. It was encouraging to know that they have pressed forward and moved forward. And, you know, in this season, it's really about moving forward, keeping yourself moving forward and not being stagnated, you know, in your mind and in the things that have happened to you in the past. So, you know, I definitely encourage everybody to take a look at the book.
Absolutely. That is awesome. That is awesome. So what other projects do you have coming up that you want to tell the audience real quick? What other, do you have any events? Do you have anything else that is coming up that you want to make aware? You can go ahead and drop that info now.
Sure. So, of course, you can always, if you would like to purchase the book is available. You can go to my website, which is hyscinfo.square.site. And you can order your copy and get an autographed copy, and I will send it to you. The other thing is HYSC, we always do an annual back-to-school drive every year. And so we are looking to do it at the end of August, early September. We will be giving out back-to-school kits, as well as raffling off some different prizes for back-to-school and giving away different prizes for those winners. So we are working on that. And I am chair of the Single Mothers Ministry at my church. Shout out to my church, Great Temple of Praise, House of Judah, where my pastor is the Bishop Jeffrey White and my co-pastor, Lady Drusilla White. The women's group, our Single Mothers Ministry, is called Judas Jewels, and we will be having our first Women's Empowerment Brunch in October. So make sure you go to my website, make sure you check out all of my social media outlets for the upcoming information in regards to that, because we will be posting very soon about the back-to-school drive as well as the Women's Empowerment Brunch.
Great. Sounds like you are a busy woman, and let us know. I will keep promoting that for you just to make some awareness of what's going on. I always like to hear about events that are happening in the community and what, you know, other things they can do to help and connect with you. Ms. Shatima, we thank you so much for blessing us with your story, with your trials, with your purpose. And I pray that God will continue to keep his hand upon your life as you are moving forward in helping people that you are called to. So before you leave, can you do me a favor and just drop some word of encouragement to the listeners?
Sure. To the entrepreneur, to the single mother, to the single dad, to the married couple, to the grandma that's minding your grandchildren, to the person that feels like they're stuck and they have a hard decision to make. You got to go with God. With everything that you have to do, you have to go with God. And God's voice is not always like, you know, how Moses was on the mount and he was at the burning bush. God's voice sometimes comes to us in a quiet, still voice. Sometimes God will speak through people. God will remind you of something, you know, through a show that you're watching. Pay attention to his signs. Pay attention to what he's trying to get you to do. So the best thing that you can do is be obedient to God. Obedience is always better than sacrifice. No matter how the grass looks green on the other side, it's not always green. You go with God. You go with what He's telling you to do, and you will never go wrong. And that is my encouragement to everyone that's out there that's listening.
Amen. So I was encouraged. I don't know if y'all was, but I was. I don't know if y'all was, but I definitely was encouraged. So thank you, Shatima, for coming on and blessing us with your great expertise, with your gifts. And we are going to stay tuned to hear more from you. So thank you so much for joining us on Facing Purpose tonight. And look, you be blessed and keep doing what you are doing. And I look forward to hearing more about what you are doing in the earth and about all of your future endeavors. So thank you so much for blessing us tonight.
And thank you so much for having me. And tell the production team I said thank you again for, getting me straight tonight. I really do appreciate them, but thank you so much for the opportunity. It was a pleasure.
Yes, ma'am, and I'll see you soon. All right, y'all.
Okay.
So we're about to take a quick break, a real quick break. And I'm about to drop another nice little tune for y'all real quick. So when we come back, we have our next guest coming on, so stay tuned.
Without the vision that I slowly die. Where are the people with heart full of courage? People with passion to reach the reach. Oh, where are the pillars of faith? Spirit-filled preachers and prophets that pray. Where are the lighters who stands unafraid? People directed to go back and live. Yes, I know it, I wish I would do, yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm the one who will love God. Yes, I know it, I wish I would do, yeah. Oh, yeah. Where are the people who see sin? Without the vision, their eyes slowly dies. Where are the faithful with heart full of courage? People with passion to reach the unreached. Where are the pillars of faith? Spirit-filled preachers and prophets that pray. Where are the righteous who stands unafraid? People to go, yeah.
All right. Listen. We are back on Facing Purpose Radio. I hope you guys are enjoying yourself. Listen. Before I introduce my next guest, I just got to drop some quick information for you guys. Listen, the author, Ivy Caldwell, she is a 15-time Amazon best-selling transformational coach. Listen, she has a beast book, one of her books, that you guys need to go check out on Amazon. It's called Expose It. Let your healing process begin. Book and workbook. Y'all know y'all need some healing. Y'all know y'all need something to get y'all little life together. So she is all here for y'all. So you guys make sure that you go and support her. Again, Miss Ivy Caldwell. She is the author of Expose It, Let Your Healing Process Begin, book and workbook. Okay? All right. So we are moving on to the next guest. She's also an author, probably a speaker, I do believe. She's many things. She's just like all the guests that we have that are literally trailblazers, y'all. So no more of an explanation. You guys are going to meet her for yourself. And her name is Latria Anita Russ. Welcome to the line. Are you there?
Yes, I am. Hello.
Hello, beautiful. Thank you for joining the line. Thank you so much for coming on to Facing Purpose. We are super ecstatic that you are here. So we're going to go ahead and jump into this thing. But first, I need you to introduce yourself to the listeners.
Okay, well, as you so eloquently said, my name is Latria Anita Russ. I live in Wilmington, North Carolina. I am currently married. I have a 16-year-old daughter. I am a speaker, a published author, a disabilities empowerment coach. Um, I'm also a teacher as well. I work with the disabled population because I myself is disabled. I do. I work with adults that have disabilities. I work with them in terms of independent living skills. Those adults that may want to have life, not life, I'm sorry, that may want to have jobs or stuff. So we work on life skills that may want to have independent and that may want to be independent and live outside the home of their parents. So we work on those type of skills as well. I also work with parents of children that have disabilities. I actually have a parent support group that's actually going to meet tomorrow where we talk about different things as it relates to having a child with a disability, because there's not a lot of resources out there within our community for African American parents, for those parents that have children with disabilities. We talk about self-care. We talk about how to find different resources. We talk about behavior issues that your child might be dealing with. We talk about meltdowns. We talk about how to facilitate a relationship with your child with a disability. Because from what I'm seeing, that seems to be the most common issue, is how do I, as a parent, facilitate that relationship with my child? Do I treat that child any different than I would what you would consider a typical child, or do I treat that child the same? You know, how do I facilitate a relationship with that child? Or you have those new moms out there that just had a child, or their child was just diagnosed with a disability, and they have no idea what to do. They have no idea where to go or what to do, you know, with the diagnosis. So we kind of walk them through the process of understanding what the diagnosis means, what the process would look like, where they can find resources and things of that nature. We also provide work from home options, because a lot of times, depending on the disability, parents are not able to work what you would consider a typical 9 to 5, because they need to be at home with their child. Now, of course, you have agencies and all that, you know, can come in and work with, you know, help with caring for the child. But a lot of times, parents just don't feel comfortable having a stranger, although that person is trained to do the job. Some parents just don't feel comfortable having a stranger in their home caring for their child. So they would prefer to do it, which means that they cannot work a typical outside the home 9 to 5. So we provide resources where they can get what we call, I guess, a remote job from home that will allow them to earn an income from home to help support their family.
Wow, this is some great information. I'm pleased at your line of work. We don't have enough people doing this, and we tend to forget about people that have disabilities and things like that. And you are a trailblazer in this area. So can you just tell me about one time where you probably thought in your mind that you didn't see any of this happening for yourself, like you being an advocate, because that's what you are, you being an advocate for these particular set of people? Did you ever feel like you wanted to give up at one point?
Yes, I did. I think just when I first started my business, I had someone tell me that nobody's going to pay you to do what you're doing. Nobody's going to pay you to do that. That's not going to be a business. They could just go to social services and get what you're offering. They're not going to pay you to do that. They could go down to social services and get that for free. So why are they going to pay you to do what you're doing? And for a long time, based upon the population of people that I'm called to, because see, the thing about it is when you're called to do this type of work, it's a true calling from God. And the population that God called me to, I knew that was not, I knew the population he was calling me to was not a population where I was going to make a lot of money. So it wasn't in my mind, it was never about the money for me. Because I knew the God that I served promised me in his word that he would supply all of my needs if I let him. So that was never an issue for me. When I let go and let God take the wheel, and let him open the door, and let him steer the ship, and let him steer the car, that's when the door started opening for me. But as long as I tried to do it, and as long as I tried to steer the car and steer the ship, I wasn't going anywhere. And the one thing I could always remember, I was telling somebody this the other day, I could always remember God telling me, and he still reminds me of this sometimes, you're not going to get it the way everybody else got it. You're not going to be able to go the same way everybody else went. See, there's a difference between following something and creating something. See, when you're creating something, the road is going to be different. The road is going to be harder. The road is going to be tougher because you're creating something that has never been done before. But when you're following something, you're just following the same footsteps everybody else took. But when you're creating something, when you're making something that other people have to follow you, it's going to be harder because you're going to have to go through the things that other people did not have to go through because you're creating something for the people that are following you.
Wow. Listen, that makes more sense than people even know, and I need them to catch this thing because you're either a creator or a follower. I gained revelations from everything. You hear me? So I'm just like, yes, the only thing that kept sticking out is creator and follower, and there is a difference, and you will know them. You will know them, so I love that breakdown. That is fire right there. So listen, I was reading in your bio, and I understand that you were a speaker that was chosen on the Leadership Experience Tour. Talk a little bit about that. How was that?
Actually, I just finished in June. That was actually my second time being on the tour. My first time was last June. And this time I was the only person that I know of, I can't say this to be true, but I know of to have a visible disability on the tour. I'm actually getting ready to go back in October to be on the tour for the third time. The Sean Fair Leadership Experience Tour is the #1 speaking platform in the country. I was personally invited back for the third time, so I'll be going back in October. This is for anybody that might be listening that's looking to be a speaker, that wants to be a speaker, that wants to make speaking a part of, a career. You want to go be a speaker, you want that to be a lifelong career. I encourage you to look up Sean Fair and join his speaking tour. Because the things that I have learned about speaking and about just challenging yourself and pushing yourself and just allowing yourself to just walk in what God has called you to do. Because it's like he's already there. And sometimes you just need somebody to come along and activate what's already there.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, I agree. You always need a pusher to come activate what is already in you. And I love the fact that you highlighted most of the time what you are called to do. You've already been doing this. I tell people this all the time. Like, this ain't about recreating the wheel. You literally have probably been already doing this your whole life. It's just that, we choose and pick what we want to do. But when God gets ready to open you up and let you know, hey, this is the very thing that I have burdened you for. This is the very thing that I have called you to. I've called you to this, that, people, and now it's time for you to rock and roll. So I love that. I love that, and you guys are dropping gems on here tonight, and I love what you guys are doing. So what can we expect from you? What can we expect from you going in? I know we are literally in halftime right now, meaning that we're almost to the end of the year already. 2023 is literally barking at the back door. What are your plans going forward?
Well, I am actually I'm getting ready to start a new coaching program for, this coaching program will be offered for both disabled people and able-bodied people as well. It's based off of a speech that I did at the Leadership Experience Tour. It's called Removing the Emotional Barriers of Life. And a lot of times, the concept behind this program is that so many times we want to know why we're not progressing in life. We want to understand why we're not where we think we should be, or why we're not further along in life, or why we're at a stuck, stagnant place, or why we are, at a standstill, or whatever the case might be. And a lot of times, the reason being is that there are barriers in our lives that we have, one, not recognized, and two, not dealt with. And so many times when people hear the term barrier, they just think of something physical, not necessarily understanding that a barrier is not necessarily a physical thing. I mean, it can be, but it doesn't have to be. Barriers could be mental, physical, spiritual, psychological. They could be anything that is preventing you from moving from point A to point B. So in this course, what we do is we recognize them, we come to understand them, we understand why they are barriers in our lives, and then I give you strategies as to how to remove them. And then once we remove them, successfully remove them. And when I say successfully, because sometimes we think we have removed them, but then they have a way of showing back up. So we want to successfully remove them so they don't show back up. So we successfully remove them, then you will find that you will elevate further along in your life and get to that plateau where God will have you to be.
All right. Listen, y'all heard it first here. What all I'm saying is y'all better follow suit now. Y'all better follow suit. So tell me, Latria, how can everyone connect with you? Like, what are your social medias? What are your contact info so everyone will be able to connect?
I am on Facebook. My personal page is Latria Anita Russ. My speaker page is Speaker Latria. My business page is More Than My Disability. Instagram is Coach Latria 79. TikTok is Coach Latria 79. I think that's all I have. Yeah, I think that's all I have.
Okay.
You got so much out here, it's hard to keep that. I ain't even going to think about that. I just thought to keep that. But I think that's all I have, though.
Okay. So before you leave, I have two things. What does purpose mean to you? And can you drop some word of encouragement for our listeners tonight?
Okay. Purpose is doing the thing that you may not want to do, but the thing that you were called to do. Because there are times in our lives that our purpose may not always be what we want it to be. We may not always desire to do these things. But we know that this is what God has called us to do. So we may not want to do it, but we know that there's something inside of us that calls us to do this. And it's almost like there have been times in my life where my business has gotten hard and gotten difficult, and I just want to give up. But because I know that I'm called to do this, God will let me. As many times as I've wanted to, God will let me. Because I know that's my purpose. Now, Words of encouragement. There's pain connected to your purpose. There's pain connected to your purpose. And you use that pain to push you to your purpose. Now, we've all been through some pain in our lives. And we all ask ourselves, well, why did I have to go through this? Why did I have to deal with this? I was born, like I said, I was born with a disability. And I've had 35, 45 operations. I had the life expectancy of 35. I'm 43. I mean, I've had countless times where I remember being rolled into the operating room, begging and pleading with God, God, please, let this be the last time. God, please, let this be the last time. Why do I have to go through this? Why do I have to go through this? I had drug-addicted parents. I ended up in foster care. I mean, I've had pain throughout the course of my life. At every time, I can always remember God saying, hold on, I got you. And even though God said, hold on, I got you, I still wonder, why do I have to go through this? I had to go through it in order to push me to my purpose. But every time I went through pain, there was every opportunity to push me further to my purpose. If I didn't go through that pain, I wouldn't have got no closer to my purpose. Every opportunity I got, I had to endure pain, was for right now, in this moment.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. So I thank you for your transparency. I thank you for your honesty. I thank you for sharing with people that purpose sometimes it may not be what you think it is, but it's purposely made for you. It's what you're called to do, and there is a difference. So I thank you so much, Latria, for coming on. Your uniqueness is really a blessing to see, and that you are striving to help others that are unique and called to do something different. So I thank you. I pray that all will be well with you going into this new year, going into these next couple of months, that you and your family will be blessed, just an overflow of blessings because of what you have decided to do in God. So thank you so much for tuning in and being with us tonight on Facing Purpose.
I really appreciate you extending the opportunity to have me on the show.
Yes, ma'am. And so thank you so much, Latria, and we will definitely keep on promoting what you do, because I think many people will love to connect with you, because there's so many people that have, disabled children and don't know what to do, and so forth and so forth. So I just really think you'll be a blessing to a lot of people. So we definitely want to keep putting your stuff out there so that people will know what you do.
Well, to God be all the glory. To God be all the glory.
Yes, ma'am. So you have a good night, Latria.
You do the same.
All right, y'all. So we have come to the end of this beautiful show. Listen, I am so ecstatic about being able to meet many people around the world. Listen, it is a joy to be able to do what you are called to do. Listen, I'm doing what I'm called to do because I know I'm called to the entertainment world, but not in the way that looks like the world. Amen. I have called to be a vessel to go in and change a system. And when you know that, like you know that you are called to a certain thing, you're going to be obedient. It may hurt. It may feel painful. It may be some obstacles. It might be the enemy telling you, no, you ain't called to do this. But listen, don't be listening to Satan, okay? Don't listen to Satan, because believe me, you can only stop yourself. He can't stop nothing. He will cause you to speak a thing out of your mouth, which will then be a curse because you have now said it out of your mouth. But if you turn that around and you flip it and say, I'm going to be everything God called me to be, I'm going to do everything that God has said for my life because it already was set up before the foundations of the earth. Listen, you can trample over many serpents any day, like these two women just did. So listen, please go follow these lovely women, Miss Latria and Miss Shatima. Please go and follow them. I will be posting their information on my page, so make sure that you follow them. And listen, come on back next weekend for 2 more awesome guests at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And again, I thank Miss Ivy Caldwell for sending me her information to blast all across the air. You guys make sure y'all go check out her book. And also Miss Evelyn, Miracles. Listen, she just spoke a thing. I'm trying to tell you, God is still in the miracle working business. So we about to leave y'all with this song by Miss Evelyn Drayton, and I will see you guys next week. Bye.
Do you believe in miracles? From the bottom of my heart, miracles are on my mind. I do believe in miracles.
Spending time in the Word, miracles what I heard. Lord, only you can make them happen. It's supernatural. It's like my faith and my spirit is stirred. Lord,